My brother stole my girlfriend and framed me. Now, 6 years later, they're all begging for forgiveness. I, 24M, feel as though the ones who were meant to love me the most have ripped my life apart. I'm still having trouble accepting that this all began 6 years ago. I had been dating Emily, 24F, since high school. We grew up with our parents, who were childhood friends, and our families were quite close. I believed that I would eventually wed her. We had acquaintances, attended the same schools, and even took family trips together. I genuinely thought we would be together forever because she was my first love. Alex, 28M, my older brother, comes next. He has always been my parents' favorite child, smart, gregarious, and successful. Before everything broke apart, I didn't think it would matter. Emily accused me of sexually assaulting her 6 years ago. I was caught off guard. Why would she say something like that when we had been together for years? It was unbelievable to me. Alex intervened and supported her, which made everything worse. He claimed to have been protecting her when he told our parents that he had witnessed me acting improperly toward her at a party. My parents immediately accepted his story. My side of the story wasn't even requested. They had complete faith in Emily and Alex. The entire community turned against me and I was expelled from the house in a matter of days. I had considered Emily's family to be a second family, but they also severed all connections. My reputation, my family, and my girlfriend were all lost. My parents informed me that unless I received assistance for something I hadn't even done, they would not want to see me again. I had nowhere to go at the age of 18. In the end, I crashed at a friend's house, but I was devastated on an emotional level. I resorted to drunkenness and melancholy, doing everything to dull the hurt of being dumped and wrongly accused by the people I trusted most. I had a hard time moving on for years. I started going to treatment, moved to a new city, and gradually started to restore my life. But I was still troubled by the treachery. I was so afraid that others would be unfaithful to me like Emily and Alex that dating was practically impossible. I never made an effort to get in touch with my family, and they never did. They expelled me on false pretenses, and I couldn't forgive them for it. Then everything changed around 6 months ago. Lisa, an old friend of Emily's, contacted me. She informed me she had to confess something because she could no longer bear the guilt. Lisa disclosed that while we were still together, Emily and Alex had been seeing one other behind my back. They had been in love for years. They made up the fake accusation to get me out of the picture when Emily decided to leave me for Alex. Alex was confident that my parents would believe him, and it was successful. After I got kicked out, Emily and Alex started dating. They are now married and appear to be leading a beautiful life, while I was left to deal with the fallout. Lisa went to my parents after being honest with me. She wanted them to know that they had thrown away their son for a lie because she could no longer bear to know the reality. My folks were surprised. Lisa clarified how Alex had deceived Emily and how they had both made me the victim. Soon after, my parents contacted me and begged to meet and speak. They were inconsolable, sobbing over the phone as they apologized for not trusting me. They acknowledged that their love for Emily and their faith in Alex had caused them to become blinded. Initially, I was angry instead of feeling satisfied that I had finally been proven right. They wanted to make things right as if nothing had happened, even if it took them 6 years to discover the truth. The worst thing? Alex and Emily are forgiven. According to my parents, family is family, and what's done is done. They have even let Emily back into their lives and still adore Alex. They now want us all to make amends, move on from the past, and pretend that I wasn't destroyed by the previous 6 years. Their most recent attempts to contact me have gone unanswered. I'm not sure if I'll ever be able to forgive them for their actions. Because Alex and Emily are family, they expect me to simply get over it, after throwing me out on false pretenses and leaving me when I most needed them. So, even after my family learned the truth, am I the fool for severing our relationship? Relevant comments. Telling them that you don't want to be a part of their life as long as they continue to have Alex and Emily in them is quite reasonable. They ought to hold Alex and Emily accountable and disown them if they genuinely regret their actions. That makes perfect sense. Definitely not a fool. I don't think I would want them back either, given the harm done in the 6 years it took to find out. The golden child will always be preferred by parents like them. It required a bystander to come forward and expose this horrible plot 6 years after the OP lost all ties to his former life. I would really consider bringing a slander lawsuit against OP's brother and his ex because they are all terrible people. The members of your family wish to ignore this. They ought to have invested the same amount of effort in repairing your reputation and severing your connections with Emily and Alex. Going back to this familial dynamic would only make things worse for you. Moving on with your life and avoiding further pain is the wisest course of action. Update. Hello to everybody. I've read all of the suggestions and remarks made by others. I want to start by saying thank you so much for your support, which truly helped me put things in perspective. Since I tend to act rashly, I spoke with my therapist and close friends following this incident and made a decision. I've made the decision that neither Emily nor Alex will face legal action from me, nor will I pursue retribution of any kind. I simply want this to end after everything I've been through. They and my family are not worth any more of my energy. I need to move on because dragging this through the legal system for slander or defamation will simply make me feel more bound to the past. It became evident to me after speaking with my therapist that retaining the anger was only making me feel worse. I choose not to allow this to rekindle old scars since I've spent so many years starting over in my life, through therapy, overcoming my alcoholism, landing a job I enjoy and developing a new network of genuine friends. I decided to let my family know that I don't want to communicate with them. I clarified that I have no interest in reliving the past or acting as though things could return to as they were. I wished them well and expressed my hope that they would be able to move on without me. I then blocked their phone numbers. Alex and Emily purchased burner phones with new numbers to call me for a few hours, but I haven't returned any of their calls. Their insistence on apologizing and reassembling the family only after everyone else has discovered what they truly did enrages me. Some may argue that I ought to have put up a stronger fight or held them accountable, but I'm done. I no longer require their approval or an apology. I have decided to permanently close this chapter. Positively, news of Emily and Alex's actions spread throughout the community. Since I was raised in a tiny town, I suppose word got around fast. My parents have been publicly humiliated, and people are now boycotting Alex's company. To get away from the city, Emily's parents and I are considering relocating to the country. I am aware of this because I am constantly receiving messages about how my activities are impacting others, which is, to be honest, rather crazy. Nevertheless, I am somewhat proud that they aren't getting away with it. A few others also wanted to know how I made ends meet. This occurred after I'd graduated from high school. With student loans, I was able to enroll in a comparatively good college because of my respectable grades. Before I landed a job in my profession, I worked at a few odd jobs. Although it's a starting salary, it's better than what I had previously. Since I was able to live with friends after college, I must admit that, in spite of my enormous student loan debt, I'm very content with my life given everything I've gone through. I also wanted to address the claims made by some that this was a hoax because of my previous posts. It is a joint account between myself and my pals. We may have come together because we have all experienced trauma and difficult family issues. However, I would like to thank everyone for their support and guidance. 6 years have passed, and it still seems unbelievable that I could have experienced any of this. I felt more confident to take the necessary action after reading your advice. Thank you. I'm hoping that this will allow me to go forward without turning around. Now to the next story, Story 2. My best friend abandoned her baby with me, now she's back to take her for a trust fund inheritance after her mother-in-law's death. We were freshmen at State University in 2013, which is when I first met Penelope, 29F. Our first encounter occurred when she wanted to borrow my notes after missing class due to the flu. We were both majoring in computer science. Following that, we began attending lectures together and eventually found ourselves in the same study group. We had a close-knit group of friends during our first 2 years of college. 6 of us would get together every Friday to study in the campus coffee shop before going to the neighborhood pizza place for dinner. Because Penelope and I were both only kids from middle-class households attempting to succeed in the computer industry, we grew particularly close. Both of us found employment in the same city after graduating in 2017. She found a job at a startup about 20 minutes away, and I worked at a software business downtown. We maintained frequent communication, getting together for lunch on Wednesdays and spending weekends with other local college pals. Penelope began dating Mike, a sales representative for her employer, around the end of 2019. I never really liked him. Even if he first appeared fine. He would frequently arrive late to group gatherings or abruptly cancel plans with Penelope. He ended their relationship by text message after roughly 6 months of dating. Penelope called me in tears 2 weeks after the separation to tell me she was expecting a child. Mike quickly blocked her number and moved to his company's office in a different state after she told him. It was very apparent that he had no interest in the infant. Penelope had my support during her pregnancy. I became her primary support system because her parents resided in Florida and could only visit periodically. I assisted her in shopping for baby goods, attended all of her doctor's appointments, and even watched YouTube videos to learn how to assemble a cot. The birth date of Emily was March 15, 2021. Due to inclement weather, Penelope's parents' travel was delayed, so I was in the birth room. I saw how difficult it was for Penelope to connect with Emily during those initial days in the hospital. Penelope was aloof despite the nurses' attempts to assist her with nursing and basic baby care. I began visiting Penelope's apartment every day after work when they returned home. I would prepare dinner, assist Emily, and frequently remain until 11 o'clock or later. I would take Emily for a little while on the weekends so Penelope could get some rest or sleep. With a crib, changing table, and more baby items than I ever imagined having, my apartment turned into a second nursery. When Emily was about 6 months old, the issues began to worsen. Penelope would phone me in the middle of the night to tell me that Emily's crying was too much for her to handle. Occasionally, when I got there, Emily would be crying in her crib and Penelope would be sitting on the couch. Penelope began skipping work a lot and hardly ever left her apartment. Penelope was let go by her employer in January of 2022. She started skipping work without warning after using up all of her sick days. Things truly took a turn for the worst at that point. She stopped taking calls from relatives and friends. Unwashed laundry was all around her flat, and unclean dishes were piled up. At 3 a.m. on February 12, 2022, Penelope gave me a call. I could hardly understand her since she was crying so much. She claimed Emily deserved more and that she was a bad mother. She pleaded with me to let Emily stay for a few days so she could get her act together. I was concerned about both of them, so I agreed. The following morning, Penelope delivered Emily to my flat along with 3 big bags of supplies and clothing. After giving Emily a deep embrace, she hurried off, promising to call Emily shortly. At the time, Emily was 10 months old. Penelope texted Emily every day throughout the first week to inquire about her. She wanted to know if Emily missed her, if she was eating well, and if she was sleeping well. Every time I replied with pictures and updates. Her texts decreased in frequency and length throughout the second week. By the third week, when I asked her when she would return, she would only respond with a single word. A month later, she stopped answering altogether. I made every effort to get in touch with her. She had moved out when I tried to reach her via phone, text, email, and even in person at her apartment. She hadn't contacted her parents either. Despite my worries, I had to concentrate on Emily. I hired a part-time nanny to assist during video conferences and changed my work schedule to spend more time at home. Emily fared remarkably well. She was a cheerful baby all the time, and it seemed like having a regular routine helped. At about this time, she began referring to me as Dada. I initially attempted to correct her, but my mother claimed that since I was her primary caregiver, it was only normal. I got a certified letter from a law firm 3 months after Penelope left. In the legal forms in the packet, Penelope was asking me to adopt Emily and renounce her parental rights. In a brief letter, she expressed her inability to become a mother and her belief that Emily would live a better life with me. I contacted a family lawyer right away to manage the adoption procedure. The lawyer stated that adoption was feasible because I had been Emily's primary caregiver for months and Penelope was voluntarily renouncing her rights. We had to conduct background checks, have social workers visit homes, and post notices in newspapers. Emily officially became my daughter on September 15, 2022 after a 4-month process. After that, life settled into a comfortable pattern. In order to be more accessible, I made the decision to work from home permanently. 3 days a week, Emily began attending a local preschool, which she adored. Her professors praised her for being well-adjusted and gregarious, and she made friends easily. Every month my parents travel from Ohio to visit us. They showered Emily with gifts and attention, embracing their role as grandparents. Every time Penelope's parents call to see how Emily is doing, I send them pictures and updates. They never put any pressure on me regarding Penelope since they understand that I am now Emily's father. As a single father, dating has been fascinating. I usually scare women away right away or pique their curiosity because I'm always honest about having a daughter. Emily is my top priority, and I won't compromise on that. As a result, my 2 romances, each lasting a few months, terminated. Up until last week, everything was good. A knock on the door interrupted my work in my home office. Emily was enrolled in preschool. Penelope was standing there when I opened the door, and she didn't look at all like I remembered her. She appeared healthy, had well-groomed hair, and wore pricey clothing. She said that she had received assistance and was now prepared to become a mother. She had been attending therapy and was doing well as a project manager. Her goal was to regain custody and begin dating Emily. Since she had revoked her rights and I had legally adopted Emily, I informed her that was not feasible. She broke down in tears, admitting that she had erred and that her despair had prevented her from thinking clearly at the time. She became irate and threatened to get a lawyer when I refused to back down. She promised to provide evidence that she was forced to renounce her rights. I instructed her to get out and that my lawyer would have to handle any correspondence. I'm worried now. Emily is content, safe and thriving in our life together. She has no memory of Penelope. I had to share this somewhere, but I've already phoned my lawyer to be ready for whatever Penelope might try. I will not allow anyone to take my kid away. Update 1. Since I last posted, a lot has transpired. Penelope sued, saying she had terminated her rights when untreated postpartum depression was plaguing her. A 15-page affidavit from her attorney described how I allegedly exploited her mental state to remove Emily from her. The text exchanges from 2021 to 2022 that were contained in the dossier showed Penelope requesting my assistance with Emily. Even back then, her lawyer misrepresented these messages to suggest that I was attempting to become Emily's mom. They also claimed that I had been preparing to obtain custody all along because I had baby goods at my apartment. After Penelope reached out to our former college pals, they became interested. I stole Penelope's baby, according to some of their Facebook posts. Our study group member Tom called me and told me that I should realize that Penelope was ill when she gave up Emily. After I'd declined to talk about letting Penelope see Emily, Lisa, another college acquaintance, blocked me on all social media. However, not everyone took Penelope's side. In a lengthy Facebook post, my friend Mark, who had frequently assisted me with Emily, described how Penelope had utterly abandoned Emily and disregarded all of my attempts to get in touch with her. He provided screenshots of our attempts to contact her that went unanswered. Emily's preschool has been in a tense situation. The director called me last Tuesday to let me know that Penelope had been keeping an eye on Emily while they were playing outside. She claimed to be Emily's mother and the right to see her from the personnel. She gave them old pictures of herself with baby Emily when they asked for identification. She refused to leave when the school security guard urged her to. She initially insisted that all she wanted was to see her daughter. Before she departed, they had to threaten to contact the police. I had to leave work early to pick up Emily after the director phoned me right away. The following day, I was at the school for 3 hours, updating all of Emily's documents. I provided them with copies of the court orders proving my sole custody and the adoption documents. I made it plain that no one else could pick Emily up, but I did add my parents to the pickup list. They changed their security procedures and now verify everyone's identity, even their known parents. Penelope began delivering parcels to our home. The first one, a big box filled with new toys, clothing, and a plush pink elephant, arrived last Wednesday. She sent a lengthy letter outlining her reasons for leaving and her deep regret. She put notes on the back of each picture and included pictures of herself with Emily when she was a newborn. Over the course of the following week, 3 additional shipments came. One had children's books that contained private notes. A handcrafted photo album of Emily's first few months was in another. The final one has a tablet with videos of Penelope reading bedtime tales already loaded on it. Emily hasn't seen any of it, but I'm keeping it all as proof. Last Friday, Mrs. Chen, my next-door neighbor, called to report that someone had been parked outside our house for a number of hours. I noticed Penelope's white Honda Civic when I looked. She left before the cops arrived, even though I had contacted them. Although they filed a report, the police stated that they were powerless to take any action until she threatened us or made direct contact. I discovered a message in our mailbox 2 days ago. Penelope noted that in order to give Emily afternoons free, she had adjusted her work schedule. She provided a thorough plan outlining how she intended to begin with monitored visits before progressively moving on to overnight stays. I will continue to fight until I get my daughter back, she said at the end of the note. Emily has begun to ask questions that I find difficult to respond to. At school, she noticed Penelope observing her and inquired about the identity of the woman. Emily continually brings up the fact that I used to know her, even after I told her. Emily inquired yesterday if the woman would take her away. She no longer wants to attend school and has grown needy. My parents offered to let us spend some time with them in Ohio. It would be safer for them to reside in a guarded community. I thought about it, but moving would require removing Emily from her friends and school. She already has enough stress and adjustments to handle. When they learned of what was going on, Penelope's parents gave me a call. The way Penelope behaved appalled them. After leaving Emily, Penelope also stopped communicating with them, according to her mother. They searched but were unable to locate her. 6 months ago, she contacted them to inform them not to get in touch with me any longer. That was the first time they heard from her. According to my attorney, we have a compelling case. The adoption was completed correctly, including all necessary waiting periods and notices. Throughout the process, Penelope had her own attorney and willingly signed all the documents. He cautioned though that Penelope's attorney might attempt to drag this out in the hopes that I would consent to shared custody in order to put an end to the legal dispute. The expenses are mounting quickly. My attorney thinks that if this gets to trial, the $5,000 in legal fees I've already paid could increase significantly. Even though I'm fortunate to have savings, it's still difficult. I don't want this situation to become any more public than it currently is, but several folks recommended creating a GoFundMe. I'm recording everything for the time being, including every shipment, every school appearance, and every unwelcome contact. I placed security cameras all around our home and recorded Penelope passing by. I also started recording a thorough vlog of Emily's symptoms, including her queries, behavioral changes, and nightmares. Observing Emily's fear and confusion is the most difficult aspect. Every time someone knocked, she used to dash to the door. She is now hiding in her room. She constantly asks me to swear that I won't abandon her the way her last mother did. I had no idea that she was aware that Penelope was her other mother. She must have heard something in school, I suppose. I want this to stop, yet I refuse to comply with Penelope's demands. Emily is my daughter, and she has known me for the majority of her life as her only father. If someone decides they want to have children right away, I won't allow them to ruin her life. Update 2. Penelope's unexpected interest in Emily can be explained by something significant I learned about her. I received a Facebook message from Rachel, a nurse who used to work with Penelope at her previous hospital employment. She informed me that Penelope is now married to a wealthy Boston businessman and had another child 6 months ago. I received screenshots of Penelope's picture-perfect life from Rachel's private social media sites. She publishes pictures of her new baby boy, writes about charitable activities, and resides in a big house in a wealthy suburb. She discusses how parenthood transformed her life and the pleasures of being a first-time mother in each post. As Penelope's supervisor, Rachel had access to Penelope's old work emails, which contained the most crucial information. Penelope talked about her mother-in-law's final illness and a family trust fund that would be given to all of her grandkids upon her passing in these emails from 8 months ago. My lawyer did additional research and discovered more information. Last year, Penelope wed Robert Anderson. In Massachusetts, his family operates a series of upscale auto dealerships. Robert and his whole family were informed by Penelope that she had never been married or had children. For more than a year, she has been sharing on social media about her first experiences with parenthood and her new daughter. We also learned that precisely 1 week after Robert's mother passed away, Penelope began her custody battle. Penelope's mother-in-law left a multi-million-dollar trust fund, designated only for her biological grandkids. Each grandchild receives an equal share at turning 25 in accordance with the conditions of the trust. Things began to make sense when the time frame was reviewed. 2 weeks before her mother-in-law's passing, Penelope started passing our house on her way home. Only a few days after the death, the custody lawsuit was filed. She wants Emily to inherit anything, but she isn't attempting to get Emily back because she wants to become a mother. Rachel sent us Penelope's text chats with her friend Kate, which contained the most unsettling evidence. Penelope noted that she had to bring Emily back before the specifics of the trust money were decided. She discussed how she could explain Emily's existence to Robert by claiming that she had previously been too embarrassed to do so. She even intended to claim that while she was starting her career, she had temporarily placed Emily in my care. My attorney presented all of this evidence to Penelope's attorney. Then, with both attorneys present, Penelope asked for a private meeting. She revealed everything during the meeting. She claimed that although she felt bad about parting with Emily, she hadn't considered doing so until she found out about the trust fund. She believed she could use the inheritance money to make one for her past transgressions and provide Emily with a better life. Finding out that Penelope had hired a private investigator to follow us 3 months prior, long before she arrived at our door, was what really infuriated me. The PI collected data about our daily schedule and took pictures of Emily at school. Penelope knew just when to visit our home and when to get Emily up from school because of this. Emily is feeling the effects of the situation. She now pulls her blanket into my room every night instead of sleeping in her own room. I discovered her attempting to fit her favorite toys into her school backpack last week. She told me that she wanted to be prepared in case she had to go like her old mom did when I questioned why. At school, she overheard children discussing how the woman observing them was someone's mother who had left. I concluded that Emily needed expert assistance to handle this circumstance. I discovered a child psychologist who focuses on custody and adoption matters. So far, we've had 2 sessions. According to the psychologist, Emily is exhibiting symptoms of anxiousness, but she believes that with steady support and stability, she will be all right. Through all of this, Penelope's parents have been unexpectedly supportive. All of Penelope's emails and communications throughout the years, including ones in which she expressly stated that she would never want to see Emily again, were forwarded to me. They also gave a statement explaining how, after leaving Emily, Penelope stopped communicating with them and refused their assistance. Next month is the scheduled court date. With all of the fresh information on Penelope's actual intentions, my lawyer is really optimistic about our case. In order to prevent Penelope from seeing Emily or me, he is submitting a motion for a permanent restraining order. My parents helped me pay for the more than $12,000 in legal bills I've incurred over the past month. They stated that rather than risk losing their granddaughter, they would choose to spend their retirement funds now. I don't know if I could have fought this war alone, therefore I'm thankful for their support. Update 3. Last Monday, the legal case came to a close. When all of the court records and evidence were provided to Robert anonymously, Penelope's scheme fell apart. He attended the last hearing and discovered the whole truth about Penelope's history and current behavior. The judge examined all of the evidence for 4 hours. The text messages revealing Penelope's scheme to claim the trust fund funds piqued her curiosity the most. In addition, Penelope's hired private investigator testified that she had paid him to follow us months before she even tried to get in touch with Emily. During his testimony, Robert described how Penelope had deceived him and his family for 2 years. He disclosed that, on the grounds that she wants to adopt underprivileged children in the future, Penelope had pushed him to amend the terms of his mother's trust fund to include adopted children. Penelope began her scheme to reclaim custody of Emily after his mother refused. The judge's decision was unambiguous. She gave me a permanent restraining order and dismissed Penelope's custody petition. Penelope cannot approach Emily, me, our house, or Emily's school within 1,000 feet. Additionally, she is prohibited from mailing messages or packages, even via intermediaries. Any infraction will result in an arrest right away. Robert informed me following the hearing that he had already sought full custody of their son and filed for divorce. He discovered proof that Penelope had been financing her custody dispute with funds and resources from his business. She had paid the private investigator and attorneys more than $330,000 of their combined savings. When her manager discovered that Penelope had been using company time and computers to monitor us and plot her custody battle, she lost her job at the investment firm where she was employed. Her parents decided to take her in only after she began intense therapy, so she returned to Florida to live with them. About 30 minutes away from our previous home, we moved to a new one. Although it's in a different school district, my office is really closer to it. Last month, Emily began attending her new school. The principal is fully aware of our predicament and the school has outstanding security precautions. In her class, Emily has already met 3 new pals. I was able to explain everything to Emily in an age-appropriate manner with the assistance of the child psychologist. She picked me to be her father when we informed her that Penelope, her original mother, was unable to care for her. I was finally able to reassure Emily that no one would ever take her away when she questioned whether Penelope would take her away. Although Emily still occasionally sleeps in my room, the nightmares have largely ended. Her new teacher reports that she is adjusting well and that she is once again being her happy self at school. To make her feel more at ease in the new home, she sketched a portrait of our family last week, which only included her, me and our acquired pooch Max. Emily continues to get birthday and Christmas gifts from Penelope's parents. They just ever email me to see how she's doing and respect our boundaries. They have always been supportive of my adoption of Emily, so I send them pictures and updates every few months. I had to pay almost $40,000 in legal expenses for the entire thing, but it was well worth it to keep Emily safe. Last month, I received a promotion from my company, which aids in the financial recuperation. More significantly, we may now enjoy our lives without worrying about what others are doing. We are grateful to everyone who helped us get through this. No one can ever again question that Emily is my daughter in any meaningful manner. We're together, content and secure. That is all that is important.
Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more shocking real-life stories happening around you.